Did you know that throughout history, some punishments were so terrifyingly cruel? Imagine being fed to wild animals just for breaking the law. Get ready to explore the most brutal parts of history where punishment was incredibly harsh. From way back in the olden days to the time when knights and castles were around, the things they did to punish people were unimaginable. We're not just here to shock and scare you, but to learn from the mistakes of our ancestors. As we uncover the horrors of the past, we shed light on the importance of justice, compassion, and human rights in today's world. Welcome to Medieval in History. Please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and ring that bell to get regular video updates. Crucifixion was a method of punishment used in ancient times, particularly by the Romans. The victim would be nailed or tied to a wooden cross and left there to suffer until they died. It was a cruel and agonizing form of execution, meant to warn and prevent others breaking the rules and to publicly shame the individual being punished. Stoning was a form of punishment used in many ancient societies, including those in the Middle East. It involved pelting an individual with stones until they died. This brutal method of execution was often used for crimes such as cheating on their partner or disrespecting religious beliefs, and it was meant to serve as a severe warning to others who might consider committing similar offenses. Burning at the stake was a terrifying method of execution used throughout history, particularly during the medieval period. The condemned person would be tied to a wooden stake and surrounded by wood and sticks. Then a fire would be lit, and the person would be burned alive. This gruesome punishment was often reserved for individuals accused of heresy, witchcraft, or other crimes against the church. It was intended to not only end the person's life, but also to serve as a public show and warning to others. Hanging was a method of execution used throughout history, especially during times when a gallows was used for punishment of crimes. The condemned person would be suspended by the neck from a rope, typically in a public area, as a form of punishment for various offenses. This method of execution was meant to end the individual's life swiftly and publicly. Hanging was often considered a more humane alternative to other forms of execution, but it still carried a significant shame and fear among those facing this fate. Public whipping was a common form of punishment in many societies throughout history. The individual being punished would be subjected to repeated strikes with a whip or lash in front of a crowd of onlookers. This brutal show was meant to publicly shame the individual and serve as a warning to others who might consider breaking the law. Public whipping were often carried out for a variety of offenses, ranging from theft and vandalism to more serious crimes like treason or rebellion. The severity of the punishment could vary depending on the seriousness of the offense and the choice of the authorities administering the punishment. Decapitation was a gruesome form of execution practiced in many cultures throughout history. It involved the removal of a person's head from their body, typically using a guillotine device, axe, or sharp sword. This method of punishment was often reserved for individuals convicted of serious crimes such as treason, murder, or rebellion. Decapitation was not only a means of ending a person's life, but also served as a public warning, putting fear in those who witnessed it and reinforcing the authority of the ruling power. The act of decapitation was often swift and brutal, with the executioner tasked with carrying out the sentence quickly and efficiently. Amputation was a severe punishment used in various societies throughout history, where body parts like hands or feet were surgically removed as a form of punishment for crimes such as theft or other serious offenses. This brutal practice aimed not only to inflict physical pain, but also to serve as a visible and permanent reminder of the consequences of breaking the law. Amputation was often carried out publicly, intending to warn others. The removal of limbs not only resulted in immediate suffering, but also often led to long-term disabilities and challenges for the individual. Throwing individuals to wild animals was a brutal form of execution practiced in ancient civilizations, particularly in arenas or pits where spectators could watch the gruesome event unfold. The condemned person would be thrown into the arena or pit, where they would face savage animals such as lions, bears, or wild dogs. This method of punishment served multiple purposes, including entertainment for the audience and a warning against crime. The condemned faced almost certain death as they struggled against the ferocious beasts, and their fate was often decided by the desires of the crowd or the ruling authority. This barbaric practice was common in cultures such as ancient Rome, where it was part of public events known as games or gladiator contests. Crushing was also a brutal method of punishment used in various historical periods, where the victim would be subjected to the weight of heavy objects placed on their body until death occurred. This torturous practice aimed to inflict extreme pain and suffering on the condemned individual as a form of punishment for their perceived crimes. In some cases, large stones or heavy wooden beams were placed on the victim's chest or stomach, gradually compressing their body and ultimately causing suffocation or internal injuries. Crushing was often carried out publicly to put fear in those who witnessed the horrific punishment. This barbaric practice was common in societies where cruel and unusual punishments were inflicted upon individuals deemed guilty of serious offenses. Skinning, a gruesome practice from history, involved the removal of a person's skin from their body. This torturous act was often used as a form of punishment or torture, inflicting excruciating pain on the victim. Skinning was used by various civilizations throughout history, including the ancient Aztecs and medieval Europeans. The process typically involved the use of sharp knives or tools to strip away the skin, leaving the victim vulnerable to infection, shock, and ultimately death. These horrific actions highlight the extreme cruelty and brutality of certain historical periods. Last but not least, we have impalement, a brutal method of execution that involved driving a sharp object, such as a stake or spear, through the body of the victim. This gruesome act was used in different cultures as a form of punishment or public event. The victim would be forced onto the sharp object, causing immense pain and often resulting in death due to internal injuries or blood loss, inflicting fear into the population. This method of execution shows how incredibly harsh and cruel some societies were in the past. As we delve deeper into the history of these brutal punishments, we must confront the ethical dilemmas and controversies that surround them. It's about understanding not only why these events occurred, but also the reasons behind them. Cultural beliefs, religious teachings, and political agendas all played significant roles in the implementation of these punishments. What one society considered justice, another might have viewed it as barbaric. While some argued that these punishments were necessary for maintaining order and enforcing community rules, others questioned their morality and effectiveness. The clash of opinions often led to heated debates and conflicts within societies. Despite the darkness of the past, there have been efforts to abolish or reform these cruel punishments. Let's explore how societies have moved forward in the name of justice and human rights. Throughout history, brave individuals and groups have campaigned tirelessly to end these barbaric acts. Their advocacy has led to significant changes in laws and attitudes towards punishment. For instance, the abolishment of public executions and torture methods in many countries marks a significant step forward in human rights. Instead, focus has shifted towards rehabilitation and reintegration of offenders into society. Legal reforms, such as the establishment of fair trial systems and the recognition of basic human rights, have helped protect individuals from unfair punishment. Additionally, international organizations like the United Nations play a crucial role in promoting human rights and supporting for the abolishment of cruel and inhumane acts worldwide. It's crucial to reflect on the impact of these evil punishments. They left deep scars on societies and individuals, shaping the course of history in profound ways. These cruel acts not only caused immense physical suffering, but also inflicted lasting psychological trauma on those subjected to them. Families were torn apart, communities were shattered, and trust in the justice system diminished. If you liked this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to Medieval and History, as it helps us to continue creating more videos. What punishment do you think was the most brutal? Let us know in the comments. And if you want to watch more historical content, then be sure to check out these next videos on your screen. Thanks for watching.